from Los Angeles, California. Frisky Dingo hit us and said, us USC fans have always been curious, at what age did your hate for USC begin and what prompted it? Good question. So middle school / high school is where I started hating USC. Now let me make sure, for my friends over on the Peristyle, let me make sure and present this thought as crystally and abundantly clear as I can. I don't hate USC anymore. I love USC. And even if I don't love them, I don't hate them. Does everyone hear that? Okay, most of you ignored it. Oh, got it. Okay, so there was a time in my youth when I was a younger JP, oh yeah, hated USC. So you got to understand the context of my childhood. My childhood is the early 2000s when you have the entire Laguna Beach effect taking place on MTV, and that's overlapping with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush doing what they're doing at Southern Cal. Pete Carroll in his prime at Southern Cal. And so you have to understand this from the perspective of a kid that is in school, in high school, in rural Georgia. I'm walking the halls of Harris County High School in Hamilton, Georgia, every day. And although I was not a big Laguna Beach fan, several in my social circle were, so I would see it. And even I remember at the time looking and saying, this doesn't seem like the same high school experience I'm having Monday through Friday at Harris County High School. That world out there on the West Coast seems a little different than the world we have in West Central Georgia. Okay, so that was one part of what made me grow a healthy contempt for kids that lived in LA. And then number two, there's this football team out there who is trying to infringe on what we invented. The South invented football. At least that's what I was taught. I mean, there were like extra pages in our Bibles, handwritten, and it basically spelled this out, that the South invented football. That's just the way it is. You might as well etch that in stone. And there's this dude named Matt Leinart, and there's this kid named Reggie Bush, and there are these receivers that look like they were created in a lab. And then Pete Carroll, this dude's coached in the NFL, and now he's killing it at college. But do you understand that now everyone knows that story? But back then, the story was still being written. And for a kid in the South who thinks the South invented football, they were posers. But they never had to play anyone. Now, again, a lot of this is false. But through the eyes of a kid in the South, I'm watching the SEC teams. And I am immersed in the language of SEC culture. And I am bathed in the concept of the SEC schedule being above and beyond anything that you could experience anywhere else in college. So when I'm turning on a Georgia game and they're having to fight tooth and nail against South Carolina, or Florida's got to go into Death Valley and face LSU, that is the pinnacle of college football. Then I turn on the 10:30 game, and like Petros and company are out there covering USC in the Coliseum playing Fresno State or someone like that, and it doesn't even matter, man, that you can allow 40 and you're still going to win because all you got to do is beat Fresno. I had no respect for the Pac-10. I had no respect for the quality of competition out there. I had no respect for the lifestyle because we're blue collar. We're roll up the sleeves in the South. And out there, it's all flash. It's no flex. This is how we felt in the South as kids about kids, including college, on the West Coast. So, Saturday, August 30th, 2003 rolls around. Now, it did not matter if you grew up an Auburn fan or not. That was a big day in the South because we had an entire spring and summer to know that USC was coming to Auburn to open the season. So you've got the whole, they're going to melt in the southern humidity of late August, early September. And Auburn's number 6 in the country to start the season. Southern Cal's 8. So you got a top 10 matchup, Jordan-Hare Stadium, 114 degrees at kickoff. And you're about to, I've got a whole lot of expletive-laden rants that I could go on just repeating what was said around the South about what was going to happen to USC when they came in there. I have the box score in my hand. Southern Cal wins 23-0. That was a tough time. That was a tough time for a lot of people in the South. Now, have there been tougher times? Sure. But guys, this was a different era. Now, I don't know if people think this way. I don't know if the kids who are going to Harris County High School right now think about the West Coast the same way that kids in the South, when I was that age, thought about kids from other parts of the country or lifestyles from other parts of the country. I just don't know. Now, I am blessed enough to where I get to go out to LA all the time. I am around the Pac-12 until it, bit the dust. I'm around all the programs, all the conferences. I understand the way of the world now. I understand the way of college football now. I didn't then. I did not. I did not have the respect I should have had for what Pete Carroll was doing at USC. I didn't have respect for the tradition. Honestly, the only exemption I gave USC was when Fleetwood Mac realigned in 1997, they played a concert called The Dance at Warner Brothers Studios out in LA. And the USC marching band played Tusk with them. Now, I was born long after Fleetwood Mac actually recorded all their hits, but I instantly loved Fleetwood Mac as soon as I could buy a CD when I was a kid. So I always loved Fleetwood Mac. So USC did get an exemption in my mind for that because they were aligned and affiliated with Fleetwood Mac. But other than that, no, I hated USC as a kid. Now, I would give anything. I would pay you money out of my own wallet to have USC in the playoff. I would love to take the Spring Speaker Series out there and sit down with Lincoln Riley. They've never reached out. I would love to do business with USC. I have a little bit of an affinity for USC now. So I've totally flip-flopped. And also, here was really the welcome to a different part of your life moment for me. I don't think I've ever told this story. Jesse, have I told the story of the 2022 title game? The box, the suite? I haven't told that, no. Okay, so I probably hadn't told you this. So we're out in LA for the 2022 National Championship game, which was Georgia TCU. And if you remember that game, it was a body bagging pretty early. So we left the field and we went up to what we called the Fox box, which was just a box where a lot of the Fox guys were, because Fox didn't have the game. ESPN had the game, but it's in LA. Fox is in LA, so a lot of their talent were over there. So me and Cannell, and I think Brady Quinn, we went up to the box, watched most of the second half from up there. So we're up there. Leinert's in there. Reggie's in there. Reggie got put in the Hall of Fame that night, I think. And I remember there was a moment where I was sitting there and, periodically, is this still going on? Have they called the fight yet? But I remember there was a vivid moment where I thought to myself, I was standing back there, getting a drink or something like that, and I thought, what would the high school version of you think with who you're hanging out with right now? Not to mention you're in a suite, which is just, because trust me, I didn't change the T-shirt. And they looked at me like I was lost when I walked in there. But what would high school version of you think if he knew not only where you were right now, but who you're with right now? And to be honest, high school version of me may be making a good point. But those are all right guys, as it turns out. Pete Carroll wasn't there that night. But we were turning on TV. SportsCenter would show practice at USC, and there were celebrities there. College football players were not supposed to be celebrities. That was how we were raised. College football players, you can be a celebrity, you can be a college football player. Now, NFL players can be celebrities, but college football players are supposed to be in class, not hanging out with Snoop Dogg and Will Ferrell at practice. It was a different time. It was a much different time.